Hello everyone. Have you ever wondered why some people speak English so naturally, even when their grammar isn't perfect? What's their secret? Today, we'll uncover a powerful mindset shift that can completely change how you speak English. I'm Peter, and this is English Unlocked. In this video, we'll explore why your attitude matters more than your vocabulary, how to stop being afraid of mistakes, and how to speak English confidently, just like you're playing a game. Stay with me until the end, because I'll share one simple technique you can start using today to think and speak English more fluently. If you find this helpful, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share English Unlocked so you can unlock more lessons and inspiring stories every week. Hello, my friends. Today I want to tell you something I learned after 10 years of learning English. It is something very simple but very powerful. When I started learning English, I thought that speaking well meant using big words and perfect grammar. But after many years, I found out that this is not true. Good English is not about how many words you know. It is about how you feel when you speak. I met many people in my country who speak English with small mistakes, but they speak with a smile, with calm, and with confidence. They don't worry too much about being perfect. They just focus on the person they talk to and what they want to say. And guess what? People understand them very well. That's when I realized something important. It is not your level, it is your attitude. So in this episode, I want to help you change the way you think about English. Don't think about English as a hard school subject. Think about it as a tool to connect with others. When you speak, don't think about mistakes. Think about the message, the feeling, and the person in front of you. Because learning English is not only about words, it is about people. And when you understand that, everything becomes easier, more natural, and even fun. One day, I met a man named Faisal. He worked in a small factory, and his English was not very good. He did not know many words, and sometimes his grammar was wrong. But when he spoke, something special happened. He looked calm, he smiled, and he listened carefully. When he talked, people understood him clearly. He didn't try to be perfect, he just wanted to share his idea. And that worked so well. I remember thinking, wow, how can he do that? I had studied English for many years, but I was still shy to speak. I was afraid of mistakes, afraid that people would laugh at me. But Faisal was different. He was not afraid. He was confident and peaceful, even with simple words. That moment made me think a lot. Maybe being good at English is not about knowing everything. Maybe it is about how you use what you already know. Faisal showed me that attitude is more important than level. So from that day, I told myself, I want to speak English like Faisal. Not perfect but natural. Not fast but brave. And that small change made a big difference in my life. After meeting Faisal, I started to think more deeply about how people learn English. I realized that many learners, including me, often make the same mistake. We think too much about grammar. We try to make every sentence perfect before we speak. And because of that, we speak very slowly, or sometimes we don't speak at all. I remember one day, I was in a coffee shop with some friends. They were speaking English very fast. I wanted to join, but in my head, I was still thinking, is this sentence correct? Should I say go or goes? And when I finally spoke, the topic had already changed. I felt sad and a little embarrassed. That night I told myself, Peter, stop thinking too much. Just speak. So I started a small habit. Every morning, I talked to myself in English. I described simple things, like, I am drinking coffee. The sky is blue today. I feel happy. At first, it was funny. I laughed a lot. But after a few days, it became easier. My brain started to think in English without translation. It was not magic, it was practice. And I learned something important. If you want to speak English well, you must speak even when it is not perfect. You learn faster when you make mistakes. That was a big step in my English journey. After I started speaking more, I noticed something new. Even when I spoke simple English, sometimes people didn't understand me. Not because my grammar was wrong, but because my pronunciation was not clear. Oh, that was hard to accept. I used to say words like tree and three the same way. People would laugh a little and I felt shy. But then I realized pronunciation is not about being perfect. It's about being understood. So, I began to listen more carefully. I watched short English videos and repeated what the speakers said. Sometimes I paused the video and copied their mouth shape. I spoke out loud, in my room, on the street, even when I cooked. At first, it felt strange, but slowly, my tongue and mouth started to move more easily. I also practiced with songs. When I sang English songs, I didn't just enjoy the music, I learned the rhythm of the language. It helped me speak more naturally. And one day, a friend said, "Peter, your English sounds so clear now." That made me so happy. From that moment, I understood that pronunciation is not a small thing. It's the bridge between your words and other people's ears. And when that bridge is strong, communication becomes simple and fun. After I improved my pronunciation, I started to feel more confident. But soon I faced another problem. I often forgot words when I spoke. It was so frustrating. I knew many words when I read or wrote, but when I wanted to talk, my mind went blank. One day I told myself, "Peter, maybe you are learning words the wrong way." Before, I used to write long lists of vocabulary. I repeated them many times, but I forgot them very fast. Then I changed my way. I started to learn words in real situations. For example, when I watched a movie and heard a new word, I wrote it down with the sentence. If the actor said, "I'm starving," I wrote the full line and said it out loud. Later, when I was hungry, I said the same thing, "I'm starving." It felt real, and the words stayed in my memory. I also learned words from my daily life, from food, from signs, from people around me. I tried to use every new word at least 3 times that day. And slowly, my English started to grow stronger. I realized that words are like friends. If you meet them once, you forget them. But if you see them again and again, they stay with you. That's how I began to build my English family of words, small, but close to my heart. As my vocabulary grew, I started to feel more comfortable using English every day. But sometimes I still felt afraid to speak with foreigners. I was worried they would not understand me or that I would make mistakes. That fear made me quiet again, and I didn't want to go back to that feeling. One evening, I met a traveler from Canada at a small cafe. He smiled and said, "Hey, do you speak English?" My heart was beating fast, but I said, "Yes, a little." We started to talk. I made many mistakes, I forgot some words, but he listened with patience. When we finished, he said, "Your English is good. I understand you clearly." I couldn't believe it. I felt proud of myself. That small talk changed me. I realized that most people don't care if your English is perfect. They just want to connect, to share a moment, to understand you. From that day, I decided to speak more, even when I was scared. I talked to taxi drivers, to tourists, to new friends online. Each time, I made a few mistakes, but each time, I learned something new. I started to see English not as a subject to study, but as a tool to connect with the world. And you know what? The more I spoke, the less afraid I became. Step by step, English stopped being a wall and became a bridge. After I started talking with more people, I learned something very important. English is not only about words or grammar. It is also about listening. Many learners focus only on speaking, but they forget to listen. I used to do the same. When people talked fast, I felt lost and confused. I could catch one or two words, but not the whole meaning. So I decided to train my ears. Every morning, I listened to short English podcasts while drinking coffee. At first, I understood almost nothing, but I didn't stop. I listened again and again, even if I could only understand one sentence. I told myself, "It's okay, Peter. Just keep going." Slowly, my ears started to wake up. I began to hear the rhythm, the sound, and the feeling of the language. I noticed that English is like music. When you listen often, your brain remembers the sound. Later, when I spoke, my English sounded more natural and smooth. Sometimes I still didn't understand everything, and that was fine. I learned to focus on the main idea, not every word. And that made me a better communicator. Now, when I talk to someone in English, I listen first, then answer calmly. It feels good, like I am truly part of the conversation. That's when I realized, good speaking starts with good listening. After I became better at listening, I found another thing that helped me grow faster, using English in real life. Before, I only studied from books. I read grammar rules, I memorized vocabulary lists, but I didn't use them much. It was like learning to swim but never going into the water. So I changed my way. I started to bring English into my daily life. When I went shopping, I read the English words on packages. When I watched a movie, I turned on English subtitles. When I cooked, I said each action out loud in English. Cut the tomato, boil the water, taste the soup. It was simple but very powerful. I also changed the language on my phone to English. At first, it was strange and a little confusing. But after a few weeks, it became normal. English started to feel like a part of my world, not just a school subject. One day, I realized something funny. I was thinking in English without trying. That moment made me smile. It showed me that real learning happens when you live with the language every day. So if you want to improve, don't wait for the perfect time. Start using English now, in small ways in your real life. Because the more you use it, the more it becomes a part of you. After I started using English in my daily life, I felt more free and happy. But there was still one more thing that helped me go even further, finding a small English community. For many years, I studied alone. It was okay, but sometimes I felt bored or lazy. No one checked my progress and no one practiced with me. Then one day, I joined a small English club in my city. The people there were just like me, learners who wanted to speak better. We met every week in a cafe. We talked about movies, food, travel, and our dreams. At first, I was shy, but everyone was friendly and patient. We laughed a lot when someone said something funny or made a mistake. It felt safe to speak, even when our English was not perfect. I learned that learning together is easier than learning alone. When you study with others, you get energy, ideas, and motivation. Sometimes, when I wanted to give up, my friends said, "Come on, Peter, don't stop. You can do it." Those simple words gave me strength. Now I always tell my students and friends, find your English community. It can be a club, a study group, or even friends online. Because when you walk together, the journey feels lighter and more fun. And before we finish, let me share 2 simple tips that truly changed my English journey. First, speak every day, even to yourself. The more you speak, the faster your brain starts to think in English. Second, listen with your heart, not only to words, but to the rhythm and feeling of the language. That's how real understanding begins. If today's story helped you or gave you new ideas, don't forget to subscribe to English Unlocked, like this video, and share it with your friends, so we can grow and learn together. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Keep learning, keep smiling, and I'll see you in the next episode.